Hey everyone! Last week I started a small personal project to review and rethink my personal knowledge management approaches, and I would like to invite you to join me on this journey. Over the next couple of weeks I'm going to be publishing different videos on this subject as I discover and rediscover personal knowledge management and as I think about how I organize my own PKM. I want to deliver this journey to you in a way that you not only learn about personal knowledge management and my thinking about it, but you also learn some of the tools. So today I'm going to be creating an organic mind map with Obsidian Excalidraw about the Obsidian PKM Toolbox, which are the very basic PKM tools available in the tool that I'm using for my PKM. So let's dive in. I want to start my mind map with a clear central topic or question and some image around it. So first of all, the topic is going to be the Obsidian PKM toolkit. That's what I want to put on my mind map. And let's look for a nice image here. I'm going over to flat icon and I'm going to look for the toolbox icon here. And from the various toolbox icons, I like this icon very much. So I'm going to click on this. And here I'm going to copy this icon to the clipboard. So I click on copy to clipboard and I head back over to Excalidraw and I simply press Ctrl V. And with that, my toolbox is pasted in here. I'm just going to make this slightly smaller. And then I want to add the Obsidian icon here at the front of the toolbox because these are the PKM tools in Obsidian. So I'm going to head to my stencil library and I already have an Obsidian icon right here that I can reuse. So I'm going to click this and I'm going to just decrease the size of this slightly and place it here at the front of my toolbox. And finally, I want to place this central image of my mind map into a rectangle. The reason for wanting to do this is because I'll have lines coming out of the central point and I want to have a frame from which these lines originate. And so that's why I have this central box. But right now, this rectangle hides the image. So I need to come here and under layers, I need to click send to back. As well as I don't want the stroke to be dashed. I want it to be solid. I actually want a slightly stronger stroke and maybe I want it to look a bit more cartoonish. So it's more organic, more hand-drawn like. So one more thing I wanted to show you is that this central rectangle has a white background color and it has a solid fill, which means that if I have any other object that is in the back, then it will disappear behind this object. So when I'm ready with my central item, I want to select it all and I want to right click and choose group selection. Now you can also use a shortcut for this. It is Ctrl G, but keep in mind that Ctrl G will by default bring up the Obsidian graph. So if you don't want that conflict, you can head over to the settings in Obsidian and under hotkeys, you can configure a different hotkey for the Obsidian graph. Unfortunately, the Excalidraw shortcut that's built into the core Excalidraw component cannot be reconfigured at this time. So your choice is to change the Obsidian graph shortcut if you want to use the group and ungroup shortcuts that come with Excalidraw. So now that we have our central item, let's put some of the tools from our toolbox around this item. So what are the tools? I'm going to select the text element, and I'm going to select the text size large, because as I'm going from the center to the side of my mind map, I'm going to have thinner and thinner lines, and I'm going to have smaller and smaller text sizes, and the easiest way to achieve it is to use the pre-built sizes in Excalidraw. So what are some of these tools that I have at my disposal? Well, I think the basic component of Obsidian are the files, or let's say notes. So I think I'll start with the files. Then the second one that comes to mind are the folders, because all of these files are organized into folders. And then, of course, the big secret sauce of Obsidian and of many of these PKM tools are the links. So I think that is pretty important here. And then on the other side, I want to mention tags, because those are a very important component of building your taxonomy for your personal knowledge management. And finally, for me, a core Obsidian toolkit, though it's not part of the core product, but it's a plugin, are the Obsidian Dataview fields. And instead of typing in Dataview fields, I actually want to make a link here to the Dataview field. So instead of typing, I'm going to hit Control P and choose Insert Link to File from the command palette. And here I'm going to type in Obsidian Dataview like this. And that is going to insert a link to my Dataview document in my vault. And I'm going to edit this field just a little, because I'm going to add field after it. So this is now my Obsidian Dataview field branch right here. And so now that we are done with the initial items, at the moment I cannot think of anything else, or well, I can think of some items, but for me those are maybe subcategories to these main categories, so we'll settle with these 5. I'm going to start to add the branches. And so the way I draw the branches is I use the free draw tool, and today I'm using my PC. I'm doing everything with a mouse, but of course you could use your pen or pencil and your tablet to achieve this as well. And so I have my free draw tool selected, and the line width is the extra bold line width. And I'm going to draw a line from here to here. Now, this is not bad, but it doesn't look as good as I would like it to look. And this is when the Obsidian Toolbox comes to play in the Obsidian script engine, and I'm going to show you the script engine store in a moment. I have a number of specialized scripts that I frequently use, and the organic line script is one of those. The way I can access it is I open the toolbox right here. I select the line that I want to format, and if I scroll down, I will find the organic line command on the toolbox palette. And if I click this, then you can see that this line was nicely transformed into a more organic looking shape. Now let me continue with drawing the other central lines right here. So I'm just going to draw these lines like this. So it's again not perfect looking, but I can now select all of the lines. Now you can see that when I select, it's not only the lines, but everything else was selected as well. I have another tool as well on this toolbox. It's called the Select Elements of Type. And if I click the Select Elements of Type, then it will bring up the different type of elements that are in my selection. I want to select the free draw type of line. So I click free draw, and from my selection now only the free draw lines are selected, and I can click here on the organic line, and you can see that now nicely it is only my organic lines or my lines that were formatted. Now going forward, I don't like the black color, so let's choose different colors for these different branches. So I'm going to select these one by one, and I'm going to select a different stroke color. Let's start maybe with this nice red right here, and then continue on with maybe this blue one. Now, by the way, if you're using Excalidraw out of the box, you will not have this color palette, and you could say this is a bit over the top. I like to have many colors on my palette. The way you can create this is I have made some modifications. You need to change the Excalidraw template for your Obsidian. I have a separate video on this. I'm going to include the link to that video that you can learn how to create your own custom palette, as well as I have a link to this palette specifically. So if you like the color selection I have here, you can simply reuse this in your own vault. But going on, let me just add the different colors here. I'm going to make this green, and maybe this last one I'm going to make magenta like this. Now that we have our initial branches ready, let's start to add some details to these, as well as let's start to add some images to make this a bit better looking. So I will start with links. Links are a central component of Obsidian, and what I wanted to put here, three types of links come to mind. So I'm going to select the text tool. I'm going to change the color to black, and I'm going to select the medium size text, and I'm just going to write 3 words here. So my first word is going to be forward link. My second word is going to be backlink. And then I'm going to have the unresolved links as well. And by the way, I have a fourth one. So this is going to be the internal versus external link, meaning it could be a URL or it could be an internal link to a file. So I've added these 4 items here. Now, the way I did this is I simply opened the text element and I added new lines. I like to move these items around, but it's quicker to type in a single text element when I'm creating a list. I have another script right here in my script library that breaks this text into separate text elements. So if I have a text element with multiple lines, I can click this icon right here, split text by lines, and if I split this, then you will see that these have now become individual text elements. I move this down here, select them all, and I'm going to just, because as I moved it, the text moved a little, so I'm going to align this to the left, and I'm going to distribute these vertically. But the point is now these have become individual text elements. And maybe this is a good time to show you the script library, because I've already used 3 different scripts: the organic line, the split text by lines, and the select elements of type tool. The script engine library is accessible right here. So you can see this icon in the top right. And if you open this, then you see this whole long list of different scripts available. So for example, here's the organic line script, and you can see it has the same icon as on the toolbox, as well as I have the selected or select elements of type script here as well. If I click on organic line, it takes me to the detailed description, and here the button is hidden because I've already installed it and there are no new updates, so I'm not going to install it. The way you install it is when you want to install a script. Let me see if I can find one that hasn't been installed, like this one right here, set font family. Then you have this button, install script. You press the button and the script is installed. Now, additionally, and let me just then use this opportunity to show you how that works. These scripts are also available on the command palette. So let me now draw the next level of branches, branching out to these 4 topics. I'm going to choose the free draw tool. I'm going to select the color for my line, and I'm going to select now the bold line. So as I said, as we go outer in the tree, we are going to have thinner and thinner, smaller and smaller. So I'm now choosing the bold line. And again, with my mouse, I'm going to just simply draw these lines like this. And I'm going to select my newly drawn lines, and I'm going to hit Control P and just type in organic line. And you see the action is available right here. So from the command palette, I was able to create my organic lines. And because it's on the command palette, again, if you come to hotkeys and you type in organic line, you can set up a hotkey for this or any of the other scripts as well, which will help you use Excalidraw more efficiently. So now that I've added these 4 topics here, I also want to add an icon. So I'm heading back to my flat icon web page, and I'm just going to type in link, and let's select a nice looking link that we can use. I'm going to use this link right here, and I'm going to copy this to the clipboard. The reason I'm copying this to the clipboard and not selecting, or actually we can copy this nice colored one, and not selecting a screen clipping is because when I do it like this, then the image will be pasted with a transparent background, and that is very handy when you want to manipulate the image. So let me show you. If I paste this in here, then you see this was pasted with a transparent background, because here in the hole I can see the link text, and I think that's quite helpful, or it's just easier to handle these images like that. So I'm going to put the link here, and I'm going to put links on top of it like this. So these are my links. So moving on to files first, let me again change my color to black, and we are going to be using the medium font size. So about files, I think we have 2 types of files. So I think I'm going to write type of file, and the 2 types of file, and then it's going to be the small letter size. So we have markdown files, and we have attachments. That's a distinction in terms of files. And then also, and this is again with a medium font size, files have file names and or aliases. And so you can play with various aliases for the files, and that can be helpful in my PKM. So let me again quickly draw the organic lines here. So I'm changing this to red, and I have my bold line here, and I'm going to just quickly draw these lines like this, and I'm going to make this thinner and add these 2 lines right here. And then I'm going to select this, select the free draw, and make this organic like this. And then moving on, when we talk about folders, then we can talk about the location of the attachment folders. And this should be black. So we can talk about the location for the attachment folder, and I think more importantly, the logic for the folder structure, and this is with a single D. Logic for the folder structure. And when we talk about logic, then two methodologies come to mind immediately. One of the methodologies is the methodology by Tiago Forte. This is the para methodology. So I'm going to open my command palette. I already have a note on this in my vault. So I'm going to insert a link to a file here, and I'm going to just simply write para like this. And so this is organizing for insight. I'm going to add this link right here. If I hover this, then you can see that this is a nice sketchnote summary of from the Building a Second Brain course, and it talks about the para folder structure, which stands for projects, areas, resources, and archive. And I'm actually going to use another script here, and this is, I think, the last one that I'm going to show you in this video, the set link alias script. And what you can do here is you can simply type in the alias for the link that's displayed here. So it's going to be para like this, and you can see that this alias was inserted here. If I double click, you can see that here's the entire text with the pipe character and the alias. It's just an easier way to do this, and of course the link still opens the same location. So this is one approach you can take. The other approach was recently published in a video by Nick Milo. It's called the access method. So I have another document on this. Insert link to file, and this is the access method right here. So this is access, and the access method stands for atlas, calendar, cards, extras, sources, and spaces. And if you search on YouTube folders or links, the access approach, it's on Nick's Link Your Thinking YouTube channel. You can listen to this. This is a very nicely thought through approach for organizing your notes. So now that I have my branches defined, at the moment I cannot think of anything else to add to folders. I think before we add the lines, let's look for some icons, because I forgot to add icons for the files, and I will need an icon for the folder as well. So I'm going to look for files. And so first, I actually like this icon here for folders. So I'm going to use this as my folder icon. So I'm going to copy this to the clipboard, and I'm going to paste this in here. So these are my folders like this, maybe just a slightly smaller. And then for the files or notes, I would want to have something document looking. Maybe this one right here is good. So I'm going to copy this to the clipboard, and I'm going to insert this right here. And again, I need to make this smaller, even smaller. And I'm going to place the notes right there. And now I think I'm ready to add my lines here. So let me just select the free draw tool. I need the bold line, and I need my nice blue color. And so let's just put in these two lines, and then I'm going to set the thin line, and I'm going to just draw these two branches as well to, oops, that's not very nice. So I'm undoing it with Control Z, and I'm going to just draw these two lines right there. Now you can also select items by clicking them one by one and holding down the Shift button. So this way as well, you can select multiple items. And here I'm going to click organic line, and so I've added these. And on the attachment folder, maybe I can add here a quick screenshot from the Obsidian settings. So I'm going to come here to files and links. And so I think the default location for new notes, as well as the location for the attachments and the folder name, are important details here. So I'm going to select this part of settings right here, and I'm going to head back to my drawing and insert it like this. And I can even come here and just using my blue color, I can just highlight the areas I want to highlight. This should be transparent now, and probably this can be a bit bolder like this. I like it. And then here as well, I just want to highlight this area of the chart as well. These are the important settings for my attachments folder. Now, moving on, let's look at Dataview. So Dataview is not part of core Obsidian. Dataview is a plugin that you can install. It is one of the most popular plugins, and it's not by mistake or chance. Dataview is just simply magical. It gives you full query access to the fields, to the data in your vault. And so that's why I thought that this is important. The secret sauce here are called Dataview fields. So I'm just going to write here Dataview fields. And the Dataview fields, or actually I already have Dataview fields here, so we need to break this further down. So we have inline fields. And let me just make this text medium and make the text black. We have inline fields. We have front matter fields. I think I'm going to just add an example. So this is the example field name. So an example inline field would be field name double colon. This is how a field name looks like. So I'm just going to put this here as a next level detail. And for me, the reason this is all important, and let me just add this, is I can use this to define my ontology. So I'm just going to write ontology here. And so let me show you what I mean by that. So for example, if for a second now I turn over to Excalidraw, I'm going to open Excalidraw. I have a shortcut for that. And here in Excalidraw, you can see I have my Obsidian PKM toolbox. I have a bunch of pasted images because those are the images that I inserted from flat icon. But I also have this link here to access. And if I open access, then you can see that here Nick Milo is identified as the author of access, the methodology for organizing your folders. And so this is the ontology, that this is a description of the relationship between Nick and access. And if I look behind the curtain, then you can see that on my access node, the author is Nick Milo, which just represents that the relationship between Nick and the access node in my vault is this author creation relationship. So going back to my drawing, let me just close this. Going back to my drawing, that's why for me ontology here is an important word, because the whole reason I'm putting the Dataview field here on this PKM toolkit map is because of the ontology aspect. And if I select these, I just want to organize this, that this is aligned to the right. And I actually want to distribute these evenly, and I'll have my example field name there. By the way, maybe you don't know how I'm doing this, so I just want to highlight this to you. You can see that my properties panel is collapsed here in the left, bottom left, and I can actually collapse it, and then I have my whole drawing space and I can open the panel whenever I need it. This is called the tray mode, and you can access this tray mode through the Obsidian menu by clicking here on the toggle property panel tray mode button. If I press this again, then you will see that the normal properties panel appear, and if I press it again, then it will disappear to the bottom left. Also, just as a side note, if you go to Excalidraw settings, then here under display you have the left-handed mode. If I turn this on, then you can see in the background the tray moves to the right side of your canvas. So if you're left-handed, then you can get the tray and the tools panel out of your way to the right-hand side of the page. I'm going to turn this back so it's on the left-hand side. So let's now quickly add an icon here. So I'm going to call this data field. So let's look for an icon for data field. Like this. Let's see if there's a good icon we can use. I like this good enough. So I'm going to copy this to the clipboard and I'm going to paste it like this. So these are my data view fields, and I'm going to just quickly add my lines here. So I'm going to choose the free draw tool. I'm choosing my green color and my medium line width. And so here are the lines. And I'm going to just add this line right here. And so let's choose the free draw lines and let's do the organic line like this. And finally, let's look at tags. So let's look for a nice tag here. Tags. I'm going to choose one that has multiple tags. Maybe this one is going to be good. I'm going to choose this icon. So let's just paste the icon here. So when it comes to tags, this is what you can use as your taxonomy, your basic description of various objects or nodes in your vault. So I'm going to write here the word taxonomy, which is for me an important aspect of tags. So taxonomy. Then I think this is the other way of saying taxonomy, so or categorization, but I'm going to write it down anyway. You can also use it for status information. And when we talk or when I talk about status, I mean this is things like for a project running, completed, or planned, or for a publication, it could be an idea, a draft, and then a published version. And just on the topic of categorization, just today I learned about a method, and this is, oops, I need to insert a file, insert link to file, and this is the Cutter's classification. So I'm inserting this, maybe instead of categorization, I'm going to say taxonomy classification categories. So this is a long list here, but under that I'm going to mention Cutter's classification. And just for information, so Cutter's classification is here. If I open Forbes library, you can see that this is a library classification system where you organize books or your notes into these big categories of, for example, philosophy or biography, or you have things like engineering and building, technology, etc. And these are big holistic categories for your information, and that's one use of tags. And also I just want to mention here that tags can be organized into tag hierarchies. So tag hierarchies, and what I mean by this, and let me just change this, its medium, that's good. So what I mean by this is the following. So if you have a tag, for example, books, the reason I'm leaving now a space is because I don't want to add the tag books to my page. And if I would have it without the space, then immediately on this drawing, it would tag this drawing with books. But for now, I don't want to do that. So this is for the purpose of demonstration. Of course, normally the tag would look like this. But in terms of hierarchy, I want to show you that books, and you can say, I don't know, skill development, and then you can have even visual thinking as your tag hierarchy. And for this reason, I think there is a relationship between tag hierarchies and folders. In a way, tag hierarchies are an extension of your folder structure. It is a bit more flexible because folders, you need to move files. It's a bit more tedious. Tag hierarchies are easy to move around. Maybe I would even add one more item here just on the topic of tag hierarchies, and this is going to be, I actually can insert this as a link, insert link to file, and this link is going to be the Tag Wrangler plugin. And the Tag Wrangler plugin, let me just add an alias to this, Tag Wrangler, like that. The Tag Wrangler plugin gives you tools to dynamically update your tags or to rearrange your tags. So if you want to rename or move a set of tags from one naming to another, you can use the Tag Wrangler, which is kind of similar to moving a bunch of files from one folder to another. So as the copy paste or rename of folders is the methodology when you work with folders, the Tag Wrangler plugin gives you similar set of tools. So let's just quickly arrange these and add a couple of things here. So first of all, I'm going to add my lines to this drawing, and so let's look for our nice color and add these lines here quickly. Like this, and I'm going to add the next level lines as well. So I have one line here and one line here, and I'm just going to move this text slightly closer. And okay, so let's just select these items and format them like this. And then what I wanted also to do is to add an arrow pointing from here to here. The way I'm going to do it is I'm selecting the arrow tool, and I'm going to click here once and then let go of the mouse button. And then each time, next time when I click, it will add a breakpoint to my line. And this way I can create this curved line that points from my tag hierarchies and leads me to the folders. I can finish drawing this line by simply double clicking, and when I double click, then I can complete the editing of the line. If I double click again, then I can rearrange the points, and I can even add points here. If I click on duplicate, then the point that I have selected will be duplicated, and if I click delete, then the point I have selected will be deleted. So I have this line here and I want to make this gray, and I actually want to make this a dotted line or dashed line. So now I think our mind map is close to being ready. Overall, when I think of Obsidian and my toolkit in Obsidian, I'm thinking of files, folders, links, data view fields, and tags. And within each of these categories, we've talked about the various aspects that immediately spring to mind. So to me, these are the basic building blocks that I can use to rethink and redefine my personal knowledge management system. And overall, I hope you found this presentation helpful in two ways. I hope you learned something about some of these aspects. Maybe some of these folder structures were new, or maybe the classification approach was new, or maybe the ontology or perhaps the data view fields was new. I hope you found something new from the content, as well as I hope that you learned a bit about the way you can create a nice organic looking mind map in Obsidian. I really like the way these mind maps look and feel, and I enjoy drawing them. I enjoy watching them or looking at them. I feel that the additional or the extra effort it takes to create these mind maps is not that significant. You need to think about the content anyway. You need to rearrange it. I think of this as sort of a halfway house between paper and an electronic mind map, but there are huge benefits of doing it this way. First of all, it engages your creativity and you're creating something electronic still. So it is, I think, this sweet spot between motoristic creativity and an electronic footprint afterwards. But I think the real power comes when you look at the whole link your thinking concept in Obsidian and using Excalidraw. If I open this page, you can see that here I already have my link, for example, to Tag Wrangler, and it's under my Obsidian plugins, and I am planning to talk about this in the Gardening My Vault YouTube video that's in my drafts, as well as I can navigate to other topics, and we've looked at a number of them. So for example, if I come to Para, then you can see that this is part of the How to Build a Second Brain sketch note summary, and this takes me to Tiago Forte. The point I want to show you here is by creating this mind map in Excalidraw, in Obsidian, using the links, using the graphics, I think you create much more than a mind map. It links your thinking into your vault, and it's a creative process. The end result is a really nice looking mind map, and the effort involved is really not that much, especially as you get more comfortable with these tools, including the tools in the Excalidraw script library. I think this is a pretty easy process and an efficient process. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I wish you happy drawing, happy mind mapping, and I hope to see you next time as I talk about the next step in my journey to redefine, rethink my personal knowledge management. Thank you.